And so there are going to be two oaths. One is the official oath, which you enter into, and then the second is the oath of secrecy. And so you say after me, I say I, then you insert your name, and then you continue after me. So I, in the name of the Almighty God, swear that I will at all times well and truly serve the Republic of Ghana in the office of the Constitutional Review Committee, and that I will uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana as by law established. So help me God. And then the oath of secrecy, and it follows the same pattern. You insert your name. So here we go. I, holding the office of member of the Constitutional Review Committee. Prempe, you say chairman. The others, you say member. Do in the name of the Almighty God swear that I will not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person any matter which shall be brought under my consideration or shall come to my knowledge in the discharge of my official duties, except as may be required for the discharge of my official duties or as may be specially permitted by law. So help me God. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. You may please resume your seat. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'd now like to welcome the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Honorable Dominic Ayine, to give us some remarks. Please welcome him.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, the Honorable Chief of Staff, Chairman, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Legal Counsel to the President and my former boss, Ministers of State present, Members of Parliament, Chairman and members of the Constitution Review Committee, my fellow countrymen and women, good evening. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the inauguration of the Constitution Review Committee. As the name of the committee suggests, its core duty is to review the Constitution of the Republic. To review something means to take a second look at that thing. That may seem like a simple task for the committee, but there is more to it than meets the eye. Reviewing the Constitution means more than simply taking a second look at the text of the Constitution. For instance, to cite His Excellency's favorite example, Article 71 of the Constitution, and to take account of how the letter and spirit of the Constitution has been put to use in the last 3 decades. That includes reviewing the statutes, regulations, judicial decisions, and public policies that have been designed to give effect to or to enable effect to be given to the provisions of the Constitution. My fellow countrymen and women, to paraphrase an American jurist, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, the life of the law has never been logic, but experience. Our collective experience over the last 32 years has taught us that certain aspects of the Constitution are not welfare enhancing, and those we must refashion to suit our purposes. The question, however, is, will we get it right this time? That is a question that none of us in this room can answer with mathematical certainty. The good thing is that we have the benefit of the mistakes we've made in the past in our attempts to put the Constitution to use to guide us in the current pursuit. But much as we must take account of the collective experience as a people, we cannot unravel the internal logic of the Constitution as a whole. Mr. President, sometimes, and I really mean this, sometimes I feel like Cassius in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar when he observes that the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are weaklings. At such times, I feel that the fault is not with the Constitution, but with us because we have not had the strong will to do what it takes to make the Constitution work to enhance public welfare. And why do I say this? To answer this question, Mr. President, I want to provide a little bit of context by quoting extensively from the dictum of SOA CJ in Tufo and Attorney General. In that case, the learned Chief Justice said as follows, quote, "A written constitution such as ours is not an ordinary act of parliament. It embodies the will of the people. It also mirrors their history. Account therefore needs to be taken of it as a landmark in the people's search for progress. It contains within it their aspirations and their hopes for a better and fuller life. The Constitution has its letter of the law. Equally, the Constitution has its spirit. It is the fountainhead of the authority which each of the three arms of government possesses and exercises. It is a source of strength. It is a source of power. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary are created by the Constitution. Their authority is derived from the Constitution. Their sustenance is derived from the Constitution. Its methods of alteration, and this is very important for the committee, its methods of alteration are specified. In our peculiar circumstances, these methods require the involvement of the whole body politic of Ghana. Its language, therefore, must be considered as if it were a living organism capable of growth and development, as the body politic of Ghana itself is capable of growth and development. End of quote. Our collective search for progress, Mr. President and my fellow countrymen and women, is a continuous process that requires debate, deliberation, and action. It requires a thoughtful application of the letter and spirit of the Constitution to all aspects of our national life. And that, in turn, requires a tenacious effort to breathe light into the Constitution as a living organism through legislative and policy measures that conform to its letter and spirit. As a country, we have been, I must say honestly, to a large extent, derelict in our duty in this respect. To give but one example, Mr. President, the Constitution guarantees the property rights of spouses in Article 22, Clause 1, and provides as follows. In Article 22, Clause 2, Parliament shall, as soon as practicable, after the coming into force of this Constitution, enact legislation regulating the property rights of spouses. It has been 32 years since the coming into force of the Constitution, and we are yet to pass legislation on the property rights of spouses. The nearest we came to fulfilling this obligation was under Mr. President's first term of office, when my boss, the Honorable Marietta Brew, tabled a motion in Parliament in 2016 to regulate the property rights of spouses. However, the bill was shot down due to a single provision relating to cohabitation. The Women's Caucus in Parliament at the time strongly opposed that provision, and they were louder than the voices of all the men put together. There were 20 women, and during the consideration stage, when I even proposed to take out the cohabitation clause, which basically provided that if a man and a woman, it didn't matter whether it was a married man or an unmarried man or a married man stayed together for 5 years, and presented themselves to the country to their neighbors as husband and wife, the woman was entitled to inherit, the man's property. Now, the women took this to be an advantage to side chicks, and they shut it down, even though there were just 20 of them. Mr. Chairman and members of the Constitution Review Committee, the President and I have invested a lot of hope in your capabilities, experience, and your commitment to the service of our nation. Mr. President was very specific that he wanted a committee consisting of our compatriots who not only represented our country, but who will inspire confidence in our people. He was also clear in his mind that he did not want a partisan committee. So, you have been carefully selected to do this job for our country. The easiest part of the job is to follow the specified methods of alteration of the Constitution. The toughest, and I can say this without any fear of contradiction, is to recommend substantive provisions to add to or replace the current provisions of the Constitution that will conform with the welfare principle of Article 1, Clause 1 of the Constitution, which provides as follows. Quote, the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name, an emphasis, and for whose welfare the powers of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits laid down in this Constitution. I will be working closely with you, Chairman and members of the committee, in the next 6 months to produce a result that is satisfactory to Mr. President and to our countrymen and women. Notwithstanding that, I wish to thank all of you on behalf of the President and the people of Ghana for accepting to do this labor of love, as the chairman described it on social media, for our country. So God bless you all. God bless our homeland, Ghana. May your work make Ghana great and strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Honorable Dominic Ayine. It's now my honor to invite His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to give his speech. Please, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Distinguished guests, members of the Constitutional Review Committee, Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, staff of the Presidency, my fellow Ghanaians. Today we gather for a solemn and hopeful purpose. That's the inauguration of the Constitutional Review Committee. This is not just another event on our national calendar. It is a moment of deep reflection on how far we have come as a nation and a reaffirmation of our collective commitment to shaping a future that truly reflects the aspirations of the Ghanaian people. For over 3 decades, the 1992 Constitution has been the foundation of our democracy. It has guided us through periods of growth and challenge, securing our rights and freedoms while ensuring peaceful transitions of power. It has given us stability, resilience, and hope. Those who framed this document can look back with pride, knowing that their vision has not only endured, but has become the backbone of our nation's progress. And I say kudos to all the ordinary men and women who gathered at that time to produce this document. Yet, as with all living things, our Constitution must evolve. Former Chief Justice Sowa, and I'm taking from the same quote as the AG, in the landmark to 4 vs. Attorney General case, described our Constitution as a living organism, a sentiment that reminds us that the strength of any democracy lies in its ability to adapt. Over the years, we've seen gaps, ambiguities, and challenges that demand attention. The world has changed, and so too must the legal framework that governs us. The call for constitutional reform is not an admission of failure, but an acknowledgement of the progress, a recognition that our democracy must be dynamic, responsive, and ever attuned to the needs of our people. This is not the first time we have sought to refine our constitution. On this day, we honor the foresight of His Excellency John Evans Atta Mills, who in 2010 established the Constitutional Review Commission led by Professor Albert Fiajo. The comprehensive work of that commission, along with the efforts of the Constitution Review Implementation Committee, chaired by Professor Evio Dankwa, laid a solid foundation. More recently, in 2023, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo established the Constitution Review Consultative Committee, chaired by Mrs. Clara Biri Kasati, whose findings were submitted last year in December 2024. These initiatives reflect a long-standing national desire to refine our governance structures, and today we must take the next bold step on that journey. The task before you is critical. You're not just reviewing reports and proposing amendments. You're helping to shape the future of our dear nation, Ghana. Your mandate is to carefully examine past recommendations, identify necessary changes, and create a clear roadmap that will finally lead to meaningful constitutional amendments. This process must not become another chapter in the history of unfulfilled reform efforts. It must be a turning point, a moment when Ghana moves decisively from discussion to action. I understand the weight of responsibility that comes with this task, and I assure you that your work will not be in vain. This will not be an exercise in futility. We are determined to see this process through, and I have every confidence in your ability to deliver results that will serve both the present and future generation of Ghanaians. I take great pride in the composition of this committee. You have not been chosen out of political consideration, but for your integrity, expertise, and commitment to Ghana's progress. This exercise is not about any political party. It is about Ghana. It is about ensuring that our constitution reflects the values, hopes, and dreams of every Ghanaian, regardless of their background or affiliation. Your diverse perspectives will enrich this process, and I urge you to engage widely with citizens from all walks of life in this process. This constitution must belong to all of us. It must inspire trust, it must unite us, and it must provide a framework for a more just, inclusive, and prosperous Ghana. On behalf of the people of Ghana, I express my profound gratitude to each of you for taking up this national duty, especially at such short notice. Your willingness to serve is a testament of your love for country and your dedication to Ghana's future. We stand at the threshold of a new chapter in our democratic journey. Let us approach it with wisdom, urgency, and a shared commitment to building a Ghana that will continue to stand as a beacon of democracy and hope, not only in Africa, but in the world. I thank you. May God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We would now invite for his own remarks the chair of the committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh. Please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Honorable members of the Presidential Staff, fellow members of the Constitutional Review Committee, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the members of the committee and on my own behalf, I would like to convey to you, Mr. President, our most profound gratitude for trusting us enough, individually and collectively, to ask us to show that this very awesome burden and responsibility of reviewing and proposing suitable amendments to the 1992 Constitution. Your naming and inauguration of this committee in the very early weeks of your assumption of office as president signals to us, the members of this committee, as well as to the nation, the sincerity and seriousness of your commitment to prosecute to the end the constitutional reform agenda as a critical component of your pledge to reset governance in this, our fourth republic. On our part, my members and I also pledge that we will return the trust with equal sincerity and seriousness, and will pursue our task with the sole aim of bettering the fortunes of our people, setting us on a course of progress and development, and helping you, Mr. President, to fulfill the pledge that you have made. Once again, thank you very much for the trust that you have reposed in us. We commit to work diligently within the next 6 months to produce a report that is fitting and suitable for our country and our dear nation. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and that will bring to an end the speeches. So now we do some photos, and I'd like to invite Your Excellency and all members of the committee to come up to where the flags are, I suppose, for a group photo, please.